Well, good Saturday morning. I'm meteorologist James Hopkins. It is 11 a.m. and we've got some stuff to talk about. Of course, we're going to have a tropics update coming up here very shortly. But again, this is the time of year where we're watching for the shift that goes down around the Bahamas into the Caribbean and the Gulf as well. Take a look at your tropical update and you see off to the very far right hand of your screen there, wave come off the coast of Africa. That not much is going to happen with that over the course of the next couple days, but a 50% potential for some tropical development as we go throughout the next 7 days. And I'm going to hit on that just a little bit later because we need to talk more about what's happening here closer to home. So the good news is you see two X's there. So two areas of low pressure have developed, one in the Bahamas, one in the north central Gulf. Now the north central Gulf, see some very disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity out of that one, and that's far enough away that one's not really going to be too much of a bother to us. It's going to move its way to the northwest over the next few days, and by Monday that one is going to be into more than likely Texas or maybe the very far western Louisiana. There's going to be impacts from that, kind of the same that we're going to be dealing with, and it's just going to be breezy conditions with some rain. Take a look right now at your satellite radar. And then you can see, again, that low in the northern Gulf. You also see the front that's extended from one low to the next, and upper level winds are going to keep these from developing into anything tropical. But what we need to focus on is the one that's in the Bahamas. I want to bring in Lee Southwick from First Coast News in Jacksonville, and this is going to have a really big impact on your weather as we go throughout the next couple of days.
You're absolutely right. We've been dealing with it already this morning, but that area bringing us showers, off and on rain on our coast, breezy conditions, more of like a nor'easter setup, James. So again, we'll have to be watching out over the next couple of days. Weather impact alerts on our Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So let's just go to my graphics. Let's dive in here and take a look at what we see all across the First Coast. We have cloudy conditions and we have rain moving through our area. So it's kind of a gloomy day, not the prettiest of Saturdays. You can see that there. Some of you far inland, you have more clear sky, or clearer skies, I should say, some more blue out there. Here's a look at our radar. Notice these showers continuing to move in from the Atlantic and pushing on shore. So across Duval County, just a few sprinkles out there right now. More now moving towards Sanderson, moving along I-10. Hey, watching all of you heading towards towards Tallahassee for the big game there, Miami versus FSU. We're going to get to that a little bit later on in this weathercast. But meanwhile, too, we have more of these showers moving onshore in St. Johns County, pushing into Clay, also pushing into Putnam County from St. Johns and Flagler counties. Look at all of that rain there. And then we have a bit more rain that's moving inland and over 301. So heads up to those heading towards Gainesville for the game there against Texas, which again, we'll get to that forecast, but it's sprinkling in Gainesville and more rain about to move in there. Across southeast Georgia, this one downpour here sliding near and south of Nahunta, and we have a few little showers popping up in Nassau County, Fernandina Beach, Yulee, towards Hilliard and Callahan, a few of those showers out there too. So as mentioned, we have a weather impact alert in effect today, tomorrow, and Monday. We could see some flooding from all the rainfall that we'll have. That is street flooding, localized freshwater flooding. We could also have coastal flooding, saltwater flooding. That's at times of high tide, and we could have beach erosion out there. So throughout the weekend and into Monday, you're going to need to keep your rain gear on hand. It's not going to rain the entire time, but it's those off and on showers. And then watch out for road closures because of flooding. Really concerned with that when it comes to our high tides. So there's a coastal flood advisory for coastal southeast Georgia and Nassau counties, but a coastal flood warning for those of you in Duval and Point South along the St. Johns River and along the intracoastal. We also have that small craft advisory out there for the rough beach conditions and rough seas. So we do have the rough surf, breakers of 5 to 8 feet. That means beach erosion is expected. And we have those higher than normal high tides, as I mentioned. But we're talking 2 to 3 feet above normally dry ground. So campgrounds, low-lying roads and parking lots along the rivers, along the intracoastal, that's where you could see some of that ponding on the roadways and some of those road closures. As for the freshwater flooding possibility, the rainfall, the water from the sky, we're talking about the possibility of up to around 4 inches of rain for some of you. Now, that does include Duval and Point South. I personally think the most amount of rain will fall in Flagler County. But even others of you, we're talking 2 inches of rain possible. Farther inland, you're going to have less rainfall totals, which honestly is a bummer for you all because you are under the drought-like conditions. Out towards I-75, we need the rain. Not saying you're not going to see any rain. Some of that will move through. We've seen some rain already make it to Columbia County this morning, and more could later on this afternoon. Notice more of that rain that continues to push in this evening, and we're not done. I'm just going to go through our Sunday now. Look at that. More rain and heavy rain at times pushing in. And then as we head into Monday morning, out there during the morning commute, some heavy rain. More of this continues to move in on our Monday. And of course, something we're watching closely, Monday Night Football here in Jacksonville. And again, I'll have that forecast for you in just one moment. But to wrap it all up today, it is going to stay breezy to windy. At the beach, we could have gusts to 30 miles an hour, and we will have those off and on showers throughout our Saturday as well. Sunday, more showers, heavier rain at times, and we'll have to watch out for the possibility of localized flooding. Still breezy, still causing issues with our high tides. Into Monday, seas continuing to build, still sitting in that 5 to 8 foot range. The heavy rain likely, once again, leading to that potential of flooding from freshwater and from saltwater when it comes to our Monday forecast too. So you can see here, James, Saturday, Sunday, Monday here on the First Coast. Again, Jacksonville area, we do have weather impact alerts. It's breezy to windy. We have rain that's continuing off and on over the next 3 days, and also the possibility of flooding at high tide and really rough beach conditions. So not a good weekend to get to the beaches here in the Jacksonville area. But what about you all in the Tampa Bay area?
Well, luckily for us, we are looking at kind of the opposite, where you're looking at weather impact alert. We're just going to get the leftovers of what you guys are going to see there all the way through Monday. Now, our rain chances are going to be increasing today, tomorrow, and into Monday, and it's all for the same reasons. It's all about that low, the area low pressure that's down in the Bahamas, just bringing in that counterclockwise circulation. It's going to be breezy here as well today, tomorrow, and Monday. We're looking at our winds out of the east-northeast about 10 to 20 miles an hour. But your satellite radar kind of tells the picture of what we're going to be seeing over the course of at least the next couple of days. A lot of that moisture pushing in along the east coast, and right now not much of it making it over. Our clouds have been building throughout the morning, and you see kind of that I-4 corridor is going to be the best chance around Orlando down towards Lakeland, really a lot of Polk County. And then these storms are really kind of dying out as they move their way towards the bay, but we'll still see some shower activity. Now, this rain chance is going to increase tomorrow and then a little bit more on Monday. Look at your expected rainfall for today, tomorrow, and into Monday. And that's because that low is going to start drifting its way towards the northwest. It'll eventually, as we go Monday night into Tuesday, push its way onshore. That'll cut those rain chances down. But you can see we are going to be increasing the chances, but the better chance of widespread rain and heavy rain is going to be along the east coast. So here it is. So here's kind of the setup. So you see we have the two lows I was talking about. We have one in the northwestern Gulf and we have one over the Bahamas. Now, as we go throughout the next couple of days, the one up near Texas is going to move its way onshore, and there is the one in the Bahamas moving its way onshore somewhere around the Miami area as we go into Monday. That is why our rain chances will gradually increase. A little bit more tomorrow. Monday is going to be our peak, where we're going to see the best chance for widespread rain around here. And still, we're only looking here on the West Coast, only about normal, what we consider typical for rainy season. And you see all the way up towards Jacksonville through Monday, that's where it's going to be wet. Then the low moves its way onshore and dissipates as we go Monday night into Tuesday. The front's still there, so rain chances will start to go down Tuesday into Wednesday. And then Thursday, we'll see probably some pretty dry days heading into the weekend, just because this front not expected to bring much in terms of rain. As you can see, here's Friday afternoon. We'll see a chance, maybe a little bit better than Thursday, but then it'll push its way in. And we'll talk more about the extended tropics forecast coming up here in just a few minutes, because this once again could help us out. Like we have been seeing kind of the pattern as we go throughout this tropical season so far. Live look around here, and it's beautiful. We did see a lot of sunshine this morning, but focus on Lakeland over there, and that's where the clouds are coming in from the east. And that is where the rain chances are going to be. So for us, our beach forecast looking fantastic. There's Tampa looking down at Davis Island, looking great down there. Same thing from Ascent, St. Petersburg. This is looking towards the east. There's still a lot of blue sky out there. And then the same thing, there's Tampa International Airport looking great, but the Clearwater Beach just looks fantastic. Here's your beach forecast for the rest of the day today, and you can see a rain chance at the beach is only about 20%. So not going to see a lot, an abundance of activity crossing over the I-75-275 corridor, making it to the beaches. There is a small chance. But today is going to be a great beach day for both today and tomorrow. We're going to top out in the upper 80s. But the marine forecast is pretty similar. We are looking at seas about 3 to 5
jealous,
feet.
by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were looking into this when we were talking about this low developing, when it had some tropical potential. We were looking at models showing a lot of rain making it across today, tomorrow, and Monday. But it looks like you're going to get the brunt of that, and we'll see a little make its way across. But we are looking at a small craft advisory all the way through Sunday evening before our forecast gets better as we go into Tuesday, Monday into Tuesday. Temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s, and here's your futurecast. And again, you can kind of see it here where we have the potential. It just blew right past all the pause points there. We have the potential for some storms. Back it up here. And you can see, you can see the heavier rain along the east coast there. And then as we go through the evening, things die down. As we go into tomorrow, same thing. Beautiful start to the day. If you want to make it a beach day, you should be great at the beaches till we get to maybe mid-afternoon. A little bit better rain chance there. For the rest of us, you can see still not a lot of activity, a little bit more coverage than today. And then we can start your Monday morning commute with maybe a few stray showers. And then we'll see again those rain chances increasing, with the most coverage for us here around the Bay being Monday afternoon through that evening commute. Look at all that rain there, especially for the evening commute. And then we'll see that pushing its way out. So things will gradually get better. Now, talking about football, we had USF last night. A great game there. Great forecast for them. I think they won. I have to look it up. It was, let me see here, because they beat, I went to UNC Charlotte, but when I graduated, they didn't have a football team.
54 or something.
54 to 26. So USF already done, and the Bucks are all the way in Seattle as we go throughout Sunday. So they're way far away from us here. But there is a lot of stuff going on. We got a couple of games today, and their Jaguars on Monday night. How's the forecast looking for those?
Okay, we'll get over to my graphics, but I am curious if you do know. I would love to know what conditions they're feeling in Seattle too, just for fun. But we will get over to my graphics now to take a look at some of the football in the area. Kickoff in less than an hour in Athens, and it's a nicer day there. Some cloud cover out there. Temperatures in the 70s, a little bit breezy. Now, people might be heading out the door right now for Gainesville, and as you're traveling along places like 301 maybe to get to Gainesville, dealing with some of those off and on showers is just a sign of more rain to come. In fact, it should be raining right now over portions of Gainesville. So bring your ponchos with you. Off and on rain likely for Texas taking on the Gators in the swamp. Now, maybe you're traveling west along I-10 heading to Tallahassee. Big game there with Miami. I like the forecast overall. Now, earlier on in the day, I can't rule out an isolated shower. Rain chances look like about 10%. Now, with that said, please remember when we say 10%, that means 10% of the area will see a shower. I see a few of these pop-up showers in the panhandle, so can't completely rule out a little sprinkle, but it does look like by kickoff around 7:30, the rain chances really do drop. More breezy weather and temperatures in the 70s. So actually really pleasant for when it comes to football weather, I believe, in Tallahassee. So I think Athens looks good. Tallahassee pretty much looks good. Gainesville, it's called the swamp for a reason. You're going to need the ponchos. Okay, then we jump ahead to Monday, because that's when the Jags take on the Chiefs here at Everbank. And don't forget, for all of our viewers here in the Jacksonville area, you can watch Monday Night Football right here on ABC 25. But unfortunately, you're going to need to keep those ponchos nearby if you're heading to the game or tailgating, because showers will be around too. So you just heard James talking about rain likely on Monday in the Tampa Bay area. Same here. Later in the afternoon and the evening, still tracking some of those showers out there. Now, while it does look like right now we will be drying out some during the game, it's still pretty far out to where the timing, we're not absolutely certain on that. So showers are definitely possible by around kickoff. I would plan to have your ponchos with you just in case. And again, if you don't want to potentially get caught in the rain, you can get cozy at home and cheer on the Jags from your couch and watch it here on First Coast News. But I'm sorry for putting you on the spot earlier, James. I don't know if you do know the forecast for Seattle or not. What do you have?
I do. I just don't have kind of like an away graphic because I wasn't expecting many people from here to travel all the way to Seattle. But here's the crazy thing. So last week, the Eagles came here a day early. They said they want to get acclimated to the heat. We actually tied a record last Sunday of 95 degrees. Now the Bucs go to Seattle. Their forecast is beautiful for tomorrow, sunshine with a high of 65. So there's going to be maybe some hoodies.
Oh my gosh!
No, that's going to be shock. That is definitely going to be shock for the Bucs to go out there. 30 degrees cooler at game time, and again, 65 at game time is going to be very comfortable for them to be playing. And I'm sure a lot of them would rather be playing in 65 than 95. But it is going to be a beautiful forecast for them out there. Won't be dealing with any rain. Lots of sunshine for them out there. So hopefully go Bucs. And we'll have our picks coming up tomorrow because I'm telling you, I'm jumping on the Jags bandwagon. They look phenomenal ever since they destroyed us in week 1, the Panthers. But yeah, I am definitely going for them against Kansas City. And I got to remember to change my fantasy lineup to take Patrick Mahomes out, because I think the Jaguars defense are really going to give him a hard time on Monday night. And I have a feeling that game is going to be sold out. So right quick, before we shift over to the tropics, we're talking about our rainfall forecast. And look what happens as we go all the way through Tuesday. Again, our rain chances from here go up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, down Tuesday into Wednesday. And you can see all the rain expecting on the East Coast, 2 to 3 inches of rain there. For here, not expecting that much, a half an inch to maybe an inch over the course of the next 4 days. And that's what we call a hit or miss. Of course, you get stuck in one of these thunderstorms, you get 1 to 2 inches of rain out of a thunderstorm itself. But that's going to be isolated. We're not going to see that widespread. Your dew point forecast is going up with more moisture in the area. And look at your long-range heat index. Even Sunday into Monday, we're back to the mid-90s. Wednesday, Thursday, back into the mid-90s again, mid to upper 90s. But the good news is we do have that cold front for the weekend. Our 7-day forecast doesn't look too bad. You've got 30, 40 to 50 as we go throughout Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Back down Tuesday into Wednesday, and relatively dry Thursday, and some forecast models are even go mostly dry for Friday. I bumped it up to 30 just because we do have that front coming in. It looks to be relatively dry though. So let's transition into the tropics because of course we're going to always watch anything coming off the coast of Africa. And this time of year, again, we're going to start to make that transition into the Caribbean and the Gulf, but this is something we need to keep an eye on. Have you seen anything out of the norm with any of your models that you've been looking at with this system, or is it just kind of more typical than what we've been seeing this time of year?
Exactly. So I will say, like, with everything that I've been seeing, not too concerned right now when it comes to the tropics. So we have that wave in the Atlantic, and it has a medium chance of formation. It's not happening within the next 2 days. And some of the islands are highlighted in that area of potential tropical development. But, James, everything I've been seeing keeps it curving out to sea, similar to so many of these storms that we've seen this year. It hooks it, keeps it to the east of Florida, and then turns it into the northern Atlantic. And so I've seen that trend a lot. I always really like when I see that. You know, of course, we need to make sure it avoids the islands, it avoids Bermuda. But right now, not too concerned when it comes to the tropics. Of course, watching it closely, and like you said, turning our attention to the Caribbean this time of year too. But I think that tropical wave in the Atlantic with that medium chance of development has the best chance here in the next week or so of becoming our next named storm, which is Jerry.
Yeah, and look at this list. Of course, we had Umberto, we had Imelda. Now the next two names, Jerry and Karen. So it looks like we could potentially have Jerry by maybe the end of the week. Looking at maybe a depression by Wednesday into Thursday. And actually, and it's funny, I'm going to show you this right here. European model does not like this one at all, of course. It is still pretty far out, but we got a couple of good things working for us. Let's dive right into the graphics. And I'm going to show you the GFS model first, just because the GFS model really likes this one. GFS long range always likes tropics, but you see there, as we go throughout your Wednesday afternoon, there is where expecting the potential for a depression. Now, of course, you see it approaching the islands there as we go throughout Friday, and then slowing down a little bit, but starting to make that turn up to the north. This is where we could potentially have a Tropical Storm Jerry by next weekend. And then you take it on out and you see it does slow down a little bit. This, what you see up to the north in green, that's high pressure. So it looks like that does make a slide to the east, allowing that to turn to the north. Also, again, we'll watch right here. I'll show you that coming up here in just a minute, but that is way far out. Let's look at the forecast winds again. GFS does like this one better than any of the forecast models, and you can see it kind of approaching that area here on Monday. And then again, as we go throughout Tuesday, Wednesday, there's where we could potentially have your tropical depression Wednesday to Thursday, and maybe brushing the islands Friday, making a turn up to the north. And that's where the GFS model is showing this one strengthening over the weekend. Again, tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane by then. And then the good news is passing to the east of Bermuda. I think Bermuda's dealt with enough so far this year that they don't need another one. Now let's look at the European model, because we're looking at even less of a chance. This is the latest model run that came in, and here we go all the way through Friday. I mean, the thing you'll notice is you're not seeing much of anything really here. It's taken on as we go throughout the end of the week and into the weekend, and there it is. This, and it's kind of hard to see, this is the only thing that the European model is showing. There is your high pressure. We do have a low that's up to the north of it. And if you look at your forecasted winds, it's kind of a little easier to see, but still not expecting too much out of this one. That's why I kept this on here all the way through Wednesday. Here is where you're starting to see a little bit of that circulation there. Again, approaching the islands there, so we go Thursday into Friday, and then it shows it weakening just a little bit, starting to make that turn to the north, then northeast, and then there we go, Tuesday. This is October the 14th. It has it pushing its way up, and then up to the northeast, again to the east of Bermuda, which again would be fantastic news for Bermuda. So you compare the forecast models, and it just puts these both again on top of each other, where we're not looking at much. So again, this one right here is your GFS model. The green is your European model. And then GFS, again, a little bit more robust at making this thing an actual system by the time we get closer to the weekend, while the European model is showing, there it is. There is a little bitty piece of it there, the European model. And there's a couple of reasons why, and this is the great thing about this time of year, and it's a great thing that we are seeing, I would say, abnormal conditions for us here in Florida. Now, Jacksonville, Tampa, a little bit different this time of year because you start to see some cold fronts coming in. But we have seen cold fronts come through Tampa. We saw one a month ago go all the way down into the Keys, which is very rare for the month of September to have a front coming that far. And that's the great news, because not only do they keep these blocked, these increased wind shears. So one of the reasons why the European doesn't really like this one that much, this is your Saharan dust model, and you can see, you'll start to see a little bit of circulation trying to develop here by midweek, but look at all that dry air it's going to be pulling into it. And that's again why I think the European model doesn't really like this one that much, because of all the dust. And here comes another plume off of the coast of Africa. But again, one thing about fronts, again, is the wind shear. Now this one is going to be battling some wind shear, not much as we go throughout the first part of the week, but here we go on Wednesday. And here's where it's expected to be on Wednesday. We have some shear up to the north. And then as we go Thursday into Friday, again, look at all that wind shear we have. And then as it moves its way up towards the north, even better news. Look at that. Now that is a lot of wind shear. And again, you're looking, look how big that trough is, all the way down into the Bahamas. And that looks to either, one, pick it up and really escort that thing to the northeast at a very high rate of speed, like it did Umberto and Imelda. And it really, as soon as both of those systems hit that trough, they really took off 20 to 30 miles an hour, and it really pulls those things apart and they merge with those fronts. So looks like we could see a similar pattern. Again, some models like it a little bit better than others as becoming Jerry, but it still looks like that we are in a great spot. And even Bermuda looks to be in a good spot, because you see as we go into early next week that that trough is really going to help us out. And again, I know that, again, Jacksonville is kind of the same thing as here. Is now is the time of year, especially as we get closer to Halloween, we start to look for those cold fronts. But this right here, for both of our coasts, is great news.
Absolutely. And, you know, so that gets us through the middle of October. If we go to my graphics real quick, too, you might be wondering why James and I were talking about the Caribbean is something we watch this time of year. These are our areas of development that's normal for October. Now, that, of course, is not to say that something can't develop in the Atlantic, and that is what we are watching right now. And James just did a great breakdown of what we could see. So we are keeping an eye on that tropical wave. Now, for the second half of October, James, our attention will turn to the Caribbean. As we can see here, the more common areas of development are in the Caribbean and then up through places like Florida and out up along the East Coast.
Yeah, and this is one of the patterns we saw with Ian as well, where it developed. And here, let's go back to my graphs, because I'll show you the reason why we make that shift. Look at your tropical heat potential in the MDR, the main development region. It does start to go down this time of year. Again, still going to be a focus, which is what we're going to watch for the next couple of weeks. But look what happens, though, as we go into really mid-October to late October. Look at all that tropical heat potential that we have in the Caribbean, a lot of it in the Caribbean, through the Florida Straits, Bahamas. And again, this right here is kind of the pattern of Helene, where Helene went. So what we're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks, here's October 8th through the 14th. Again, what we're watching right now is that wave coming off the coast of Africa. And then after that, the 15th through the 21st, that's where we kind of make that shift. So great breakdown. Go Jags for Monday night. And of course, we'll keep a close eye on this. But for you in Jacksonville, hopefully stay dry.